thank you for staying with us. And by the way, Chamberlain, when you labor a lot before you get fuel, you definitely remember the NNPC sometimes. And talking about Labour, the Labour Party is here with us this morning. Onuakalusi is a member of the Labour Party's legal team. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. It's my pleasure being here.
Okay. Let's begin with that. Should we call it the elephant in the room now? I mean, you are not unaware of that conversation between the Labour Party National and Labour Party in Ogun State. All of that suspension or not suspension of the spokesperson of or the DG of your presidential campaign. Exactly what's going on?
Okay, it's my pleasure. Good morning, viewers. It's my great honor to be here. First of all, let me start. I saw the documentary concerning the acting National Publicity Secretary in respect of the judgment we got at the Court of Appeal. I was the first appellant in that case. We filed an appeal in respect of the decision of the Federal High Court at Abuja that dismissed our application, the Labour Party's application, to submit list of candidates for the National Assembly in Lagos. Incidentally, I was in that court. And I called the National Publicity Secretary. Thereafter, I said, we need to appeal on this matter. He was dig-dalling. After a few days, I decided, I'm a lawyer, I decided to take up the matter and file on behalf of the party. And you know, what happened in appeal section, and by virtue of section 239 and 240 of the 1999 Constitution, a Court of Appeal is an appellant court. It is a decision based overview of what took place at the lower court. That's the Federal High Court. And the first thing you do is when you file a notice of appeal, the issue you raise that in the grounds of appeal, you began to talk about that the court of the first instance, that's the Federal Court, erred in certain areas of the law. And that's why you are appealing. And that's the grounds. And the next thing you do is that you compile records. So when you compile records, you now transmit the record to the Court of Appeal. It is when the record of Court of Appeal is transmitted that appeal will be entered. These are stages. These are procedural grounds we will have to take place. So the records was transmitted on the 5th of October, and we will have 7 days to file brief of argument. I came back to Lagos and I met with my principal. We prepared the brief of argument, and we went back. I went back personally to Court of Appeal in Abuja on the 13th of October. Then we filed our brief of argument, and the matter is slated for hearing. When the matter was slated for hearing, we came to adopt our brief of argument, and the matter was reserved for judgment. And when the matter was resolved, I was called upon on the 17th of November that the judgment is ready. We came on the 18th of November, and the judgment was read. And the Court of Appeal set aside the decision of the Federal High Court and granted us our appeal and allow the Labour Party to submit the list of the candidates for the National Assembly to INEC. And the decision is a landmark decision because we base our argument on section 29 sub 1 of the Electoral Act 2022, and which says that every political party shall submit the list of its candidates not later than 180 days to the day announced for the election. And the day the INEC shut the server was 206 days to the general election. So we have over 26 days. So that was our main argument. Our main argument was that INEC couldn't have shut their server to political parties to submit their names less than 180 days, which is a benchmark by the Electoral Act. I know that INEC, by virtue of section 148 of the Electoral Act, has the right to provide the guidelines for the election. But it is, if you look at that very section 148, it says subject to the Act. It means that it cannot go contrary to this. So, and section 29 very pronounced, sub 1 said 180 days to the general election.
So what has this got to do with the purported suspension of the Director General of the...
No, it is a call. I just want to lay the foundation because the news have gone viral that the list submitted by Labour Party was forged, that the judgments was obtained fraudulently. I'm the first appellant in that case. I'm a lawyer in that case, so I know the history of the case. That's why I wanted to dispel those rumors so that people get to know the facts before we go to the areas of suspension. Now, the acting national publicity was the one the national leadership asked to handle the primaries of the National Assembly in Lagos. And he was a party that instituted action when the Labour Party could not offload their names on the 15th of June.
You mean Comrade Ayo Arabambi?
Arabambi. So he was part of the suit. But what he didn't handle the suit with all this dispatch as expected, and the court dismissed it. So I took up the responsibility on behalf of the public to go to the Court of Appeal, and we got a judgment, which is a landmark judgment. Invariably, the Court of Appeal agreed with us that virtue of the Section 29 sub 1 of the Electoral Act, INEC shouldn't have shot their server less than 180 days to the election. Now, going back to your questions concerning the suspension on it, it's internal. Every party has its own constitution, and in the internal affairs of the party, if any party member go contrary to the constitution, they have the right for disciplinary procedure. And if that takes place, it becomes a party affair. It has to be an internal affairs of the party. Then, second aspect, I want to say, why did the Ogun State suspend Dr. Donyo Okupe as the Director General for P2B campaign organization? First of all, it is a prerogative of the presidential candidate to nominate whosoever he wants to be his Director General. He must not be a member of the party. Being a member of a party is an advantage, an addendum, but it is a prerogative of the presidential candidate, which he did. And secondly, when it comes to discipline of party members, the first place to start is the ward level. No, the ward level is the basis. And the ward, what happened, if I earn in my own ward, I'm from ward F3, Okota, Lagos here, it is the ward chairman that will call me and set up a panel to look at the areas that are acted against the party's interests. Then I will be given a fair hearing. I have to appear before the panel and I answer questions where it's necessary. Then if they are not comfortable with it, and the 6 that are acted contrary to the party, they will recommend to the national leadership. So it is arbitrarily and laughable for a group of gentlemen to come together and say, we have expelled you from the party, we have expunged you from the party, you have no right to be in the party, and you cannot come back to the party.
Now, you laid a foundation as to the process of expelling any member from a party or discipline. We'll come to the issues raised, but is that to say, because I would expect, for instance, if that action started from the ward level, there will be there should be some form of concurrence at the state level. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Now, so are you saying that that whole idea of suspension of Dr. Okupe did not at all originate from the ward?
No, but you can see if it started from the ward level, they would have made a pronouncement that he was invited at the ward level. But if you look at the excerpt of the document, you couldn't see it. They said the state chairman and the acting national public suspends. There was no ward level chairman in that meeting.
But they also mentioned the fact that they had some consultations, personal consultations with Dr. Okupe, but nothing happened.
Now you can't have even at that. They can't take that decision. They cannot. They don't have the right to expel a member. Expelling a member from a political party, it's a national issue. It has to come to NWC.
But you said it starts from the ward level.
It starts on the ward level, and it has to be a recommendation from the ward level. We have found this member acting contrary to the constitution of the party. They will make the recommendation, which we push to the state, and the state will push it to the national level. So it can't come, two people can't gang up together and say, we have expelled you because we don't like your face. Or if I have a personal grudges with you, I expel you from the party. It's never done that way.
Speak to the issues raised in that, should I say, suspension notice given to Dr. Okupe, that his financial commitments to the party was questionable.
Well, they didn't say that they raised that issue to the Donyo Okupe, and I'm sure if he had raised it to the Donyo Okupe, he would have an answer. That's what I'm talking about. You know, justice
has there been any consultation with the gentlemen involved that you talk about in Ogun State? Has there been any conversation with them concerning, you know, the issues they raised and the purported suspension, as you put it?
No, not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge, because the decision was taken arbitrarily by the acting National Publicity Secretary and the State Chairman. They didn't consult anybody.
National Publicity Secretary, he's also being accused of working against, sabotaging the candidature of the Ogun State governorship candidate of the Labour Party, and indeed some other candidates of the Labour Party at the National Assembly and State Assembly levels in the Labour Party. Is that correct?
Now, there are two ways to it, which are the Ogun State. He is a leader in the Ogun State. And arbitrarily, every leader of a political party, your primus inter primus, is ensure that you have candidates for the national election. That is your job. And whereby he did not present candidate for the national election, it puts his leadership in question. And that is why the national leadership of the party has said, no, you are a leader in the party and you could not produce candidate for the general election. So who is leading who? So that's why it was called no. First of all, charity begins at home. You must tell me that if I'm a leader in Lagos State and I don't have candidates in the National Assembly, I don't have gubernatorial candidates, I don't have House of Representatives, then it means that my leadership is in question. So it is based on that the national leadership has said no, Mr. Rabambi, you are a leader in Ogun State. You don't have candidates for gubernatorial election. The cases are being prosecuted and not prosecuted daily. What is the question? Come on and give us an answer to it.
What do you think is the problem? Why do you think he's been complacent at his job?
Well, I can answer for him. I can answer for him. I think he had been here before, so when he comes, he'll be in the right frame of mind to say exactly what happened. But I can't answer for him. But what I know is that the party leadership said, no, you have not done well, and that's why we're giving you caution. Go and do the right thing. Then you come back.
At the time when the elections are barely 100, less than 100
less than 80 days,
less than 80 days,
yes,
to the elections, the general elections, and the most popular person on your party's platform is the presidential candidate. Not much has been heard of many governorship or legislative assembly, state or federal assembly members altogether. And then these issues come up from time to time, like some kind of poison in the soup or something like that. So one is wondering, how significant are these pockets of, should I call them distractions, to the entire campaign?
Well, you must understand that even in your family there's disagreement.
Yeah, I knew you would say that.
Popular line of politics, right?
Naturally.
No, I'm giving you an
just
answer.
a second, yes, you know that, I mean, for the Labour Party, it's quite dicey now. It's not as established as those other, two other parties over time. So one is wondering, how significant are these? Because if the Labour Party cannot fine-tune its own home, how can you fine-tune Nigeria?
Where homes are in good shape. Definitely, if you have one deviant one way or the other, that's making it. If you're in a family,
these deviants come up from time to time,
No, that is why, let me give you a proverb in my place. My grandmother told me that if I want you to behave like me, I remain an island. Therefore, I expect people from different views, diverse interests, and to come up. The ability to manage it is what makes you a leader. And Labour Party, we have been able to manage our differences. We have been able to push ahead because this is the best time for Nigeria. We have the best of the presidential candidate who is willing to move Nigeria from a consumption to a production nation, who is willing to bring in leadership, quality leadership, and that's what we need in Nigeria. So we don't want few people, because there must be a bad egg at one point. We don't want people to distract us. We are focused, we are moving ahead, and you can see.
Comrade Okupe,
yes, sir.
Your cases at the court,
yes,
for which has now been subject to dispute within the party now. Don't you think they have more to do with the fact that members of the Labour Party got on the train a bit late when they realized that the popularity of the party was increasing based on the emergence, the entry of your presidential candidate into the scheme of things, and by that time the window, for submission of forms, declaration of interest had begun to, sort of close. So don't you think that's more to do with, the reason you have these cases at the courts rather than the dispute over, the contention of rivalry between certain members of the party?
No, if you get to court, if you go to, I'm a litigator, I'm a litigation lawyer, if you go to court, you see thousands of cases in all the parties. thousands. Even the day the decision was taken on my own case in this 18th of November, 3 other decisions in the Court of Appeal was against other primaries. So this is a time for litigations on pre-election matters. So it's all over across the party line. It is not really peculiar to Labour Party. But when I say we have been able to manage, that's what we succeeded to have National Assembly candidate for. And let me make a point here, because the decision of the Federal Court of Appeal on Section 29 software is a landmark decision. It's a landmark. I know. Sure, it will be published in Nigerian Weekly Law Report, because it says, yes, INEC, you have the right for regulation of the guideline for the elections, but it must be subject to Section 29, sub 1 of the Act. In other words, means all the people that were excluded because they didn't fit into that period still have the right to go to INEC. Said, by virtue of this decision, you have to take our names as a candidate of the party. So it's a landmark decision which I'm sure that will go a long way to liberate submissions on them.
So the count starts from that time that INEC
rejected. Yes,
not necessarily from less than 90
from
days
the time.
election.
Okay, now this is where we are now, Mr. Onuakalusi. So one is wondering, the campaign is going the way it is. There are those who are saying, hey, this campaign of the Labour Party is only running on gas, on a fluke. But once power comes, once there is some form of establishment within the system, there's going to be a lot of instability, because the structures that are holding the Labour Party right now are not very, very strong. Strong enough to bear any success.
No, it is, because when the head is correct, the body will be equally correct. And you can understand in Kenya, Ruto came on board just like Peter is emerging, and he won, and he's going to do excellently well. We get the head correct. Once the head is correct, the body is equally correct. So we are bent on, we are willing, and we are pushing forward winning the 2023 election. And by the time we emerge, come February 25th, 2019, we are putting Nigeria on the right track. And we are getting to get the structure be perfect. We have the best hand to handle it. And Peter is on the cruising. We are cruising to victory by the grace of God.
As Bukola said, it's the line of politicians. And when you say that the head, once you have the head correct, don't forget that the head is supplied blood from the heart. And that perhaps is the part.
The head cannot be.
You don't need to respond to that one. Okay, Joe Onuakalusi is a member, Labour Party's legal team. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
For being a part of our conversation.
And delighted to meet you.
And let's hope that Comrade Arabambi will be on Sunrise Daily, to come.
I'll be glad to meet him anytime he's here. He's my friend.
Okay, I guess, well, that is it. You really shouldn't talk anymore after we have signed you up.